And we're rolling. So today is it's a Thursday, I know that. So I picked up my garbage yesterday, and Wednesday's garbage day. That's how I know. Oh dear. So I'm out here looking at crops again, and I see the canola fields already in the last few days. There's still some sparse spots, but I think that's due to, some of that ground was just dry, and now that we got some rain, it's starting to come up too, so that's really good news. But this video I'm making for my American friends, our cousins across the border here. I'm up in communist Canada. But remember what your Constitution, the organic Constitution of the United States, it says that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Among these, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And governments are instituted among men to secure these rights. Failing that, the people shall rise up and change government or abolish it and form new government. That's guaranteed in their Constitution, that they can, if the government's not serving the needs of the people, then they can change that government. But what is your government's doing? And they're doing it here too. They're taking away our rights to defend ourselves, to defend our families, and defend our homes. So you can't. They're taking those rights away. Well, first of all, they can't take those rights away because those are God-given rights. Life, it's obvious. You're born, you can breathe the air, right? And your life is the most important, your life. And if somebody else's liberty starts to damage your life or hurt you or hurt your family or something, they have no business doing that. Because your life, then liberty, then the pursuit of happiness, right? But people of the United States and of all countries have a responsibility. And the responsibility is for the people to speak out against the evil that's being done. You can't tell me that this transgender movement is just all nice and good. It isn't. The whole LGBTQ movement started out, and I know personally one of the gay men in Toronto that was one of the first people that marched in the gay parade in Toronto. I'm not going to say his name, but I know the guy personally. I've met him. My mother-in-law is, for some reason, she's a real feminist liberal, and she just thinks that these homosexuals and these people are just wonderful. So she had lots of friends that were in that community, and that's how I know the guy. He was a nice enough guy, but what are you doing? Because the gay parade in Toronto now has gotten to the point where our finance minister, or whatever you call that, Freeland, marched in the parade with it wearing a big pink dildo. I know that they've had a truck there, a military truck with a great big 40-foot long penis on top of it. I think it was 40 feet. I wasn't there, I didn't see it, but I know that they had it because I know the guy that owned the truck that they rented, and he drove it with the big penis on it. And how could anybody even argue for something like that? But yet they do. My friend that drove the truck, I said, "What are you doing? That's very, that's wrong." He goes, "Oh, come on, it's just love." That's what he said to me. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. At any rate, you Americans have to hang on to your rights, and you have to start defending your Constitution. Not the Act of 1871. I'm talking about the organic Constitution of the United States. Because as it is right now, your country is controlled by a very small area called the District of Columbia. A lot of you know that, probably most of you do, but a lot of people don't know that. And the District of Columbia is a city-state, and they're autonomous. Okay, just like the City of London, the square mile down, where all the central banks are, and of course the Vatican in Rome. And I think the UN in New York is considered a city-state. That UN building and its property, I think. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but that's what I've heard. At any rate, the world is controlled by these city-states. And you Americans have to wake up to this. Because the American experiment was where Europeans could go to the new world and get a new lease on life. Get away from the stranglehold of the central bankers in Europe. Because when they went there, they would have property rights. And eventually they had real money for a while. But the Federal Reserve came in 1913, and by 1933, the people were off the gold standard. No more gold for security or whatever. Just make up an excuse to take it. So they took everybody's gold. And Americans didn't even know about owning gold until the 1970s, 1980s. Because you couldn't buy coins. Now you can. But and then in the 1970s, Richard Nixon took the banks off the gold standard to protect the American people from the speculators. That's what Nixon said. No, it didn't. It just made everything worse. Because then they went to full fractional reserve lending. No more gold at all. Now it's not the gold anymore. It's the blood of the people. And that started way back. And now when you get paid with dollars, well, those dollars just get inflated away. And then unless you're really smart, or you know somebody that has a lot of insider information and that kind of thing, it's really hard to make it. There are people that make it big in the stock market for sure, but those speculative plays and all that sort of stuff, that can get a little bit too much. For Americans, you need to buy gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies. And if you own a piece of property, that's great. But you want to have those things too. Because I'm going to tell you what, man, the hammer's coming down from the banks, but it's also God's hammer is coming down. And God's judgment is on the earth. And people in America, the good news is for the believers, for the ones that trust Christ and that believe in Him, that'll add a layer of protection on you. But it also is dangerous. But know what kind of fight you're in. We're in a war here. And we've been at war, well, forever. And the war is between who? It's between the devil and the Lord. End of story. And the devil has many minions on the earth. You see, he's got everybody fooled. He thinks, a lot of people don't think he even exists, or they're convinced that there's no devil. I assure you that there is. And he wants to wreak as much havoc and destruction on this earth to the people as he can. And he's doing a pretty damn good job, I gotta say. You think of all the different kind of war machines and weapons and so forth that have been constructed by these evil ones. And let's face it, the ones that are building the weapons, they might say, hey, I'm just doing my job, I'm a tradesman, I'm a machinist or whatever. I don't care. Man, you're making weapons that are going to be deployed against people and kill them. The other side's doing it too. There's so much evil in the world, and we have to stand against it. We have to object to it at every level. And you Americans, you need to defend your Constitution. And most importantly, you need to get back with the Lord. That's the only solution for the USA and for the people there is through Christ the Lord. That's the only solution, because I'm going to tell you what, man, it's not looking good on the horizon. And as far as elections goes, do you really trust them now after the last go around? How can a guy like that Graham that senator, how can he still be in power? I mean, he giggles like a little schoolboy when he's talking about killing people and bombs and stuff. Best money we ever spent. He like a little... He looks like he has the manners of a rabbit. But underneath that cloak is a ravening wolf. Guys like McConnell, it's a little easier to see it, but that Lindsey Graham. And Lindsey, you need the Lord, brother. You do, because as I said, the hammer's coming down, and yeah, it'll look good for a while. It's looking great for you right now, but if I was you, I'd be on my knees begging God for forgiveness for all the destruction you've caused. And I have to listen to my own advice too. I've hurt people in small ways and other ways in this time in my life on the earth. So, that's why I'm calling to guys like Graham. They need the Lord, and they need to confess their sins and accept Christ the Lord as their Savior. We'll see.